What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Soccer Wise. David Goss and Tommy Scoops with you for another great episode. We got a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about. We're in the throes of Leagues Cup. We are living in the transfer market. But Tom, the only thing I want to talk about is the Grand Tetons and Jackson Hole. You are headed on vacation soon, and I did not know where you were going. And when you asked the question, does anyone have any travel advice? How many photos did you get of me in the Grand Tetons immediately?
12, and you were 12 for 12. The conversion rate, you came off the bench, you hit your first three, and it was like, all right, he's feeling it. And then there was a couple step backs. There was off the dribble. There was no catch and shoot threes after that first one. You just got on a roll. It was heat check, give him the ball, clear out. It was great.
I was that kid in China have you watched that video of the middle school kids playing basketball with the water bottle?
I thought you were gonna say the Papa Shot guy who can hit like 100 for 100 in 15 seconds.
There is I'll send it to you. There's an epic video. The guy does a full breakdown of these kids playing one-on-one with a garbage can in the corner of the class, and footwork is on another level. And this kid's up and under, steps in, yamming on people, and the kids in the class are going nuts. And this guy, like some American dude, does a full breakdown. He's like, "This is Kobe. This is class. This is MJ. This is the top of the game. You're watching elites." And that's what I felt like. It is my favorite place in the world right now, so I'm stoked for you to go there.
That's high praise from you. You're a man of the world. Like that is high praise.
Okay, let me say it's my favorite national park in the U.S. and maybe my favorite nature place. I love nature. I think it's great. I like seeing animals. I don't like having animals. I like seeing them in the wild. So that part's really cool. But I probably am a city person first. So like maybe Rio de Janeiro or Lisbon or something like that would be above that. Yeah, I wish. If I ever got there. Anyone who wants to do an AFCON trip this winter, let me know. I'm all ears. I'm listening.
That is shocking to me that you haven't been there. Like I just assumed for sure.
My best friend that I grew up with was living in Spain. We had a full, I think 2015 AFCON trip to Morocco booked, like flights, hotels, and then Ebola broke out and Morocco turned down hosting it, and it moved to like Equatorial Guinea, which I did not have a trip booked to, so I did not go to.
Didn't have the itinerary set.
Yeah, and I've not been to Morocco since. So I am trying. I'm working on it. I went to Egypt last year, so I'm getting closer, but I'm not exactly there yet as we move along the North African coast. So now that we got through that conversation, we have a lot to talk about in this show. Of course, you're still ripping all of the news in the transfer window for everyone, and Leagues Cup is on. I think I've had it on like background. Yeah, it does not stop. More like background the last few days, and like it's entertaining. There's soccer on. I think the crowds have been better than I expected. I think a lot of that's because I'm more tuning into the Americas and and Tigresses of the world, and so I don't know who the crowds are for, but I thought the Orlando crowd was pretty engaged, pretty into it. There was a Lucha Libre match outside of Minnesota Stadium before their game, and then Minnesota put the full beat down on. I know, you got to get in tune with the fans and what's going on. You're too busy on your multimillionaires. Who's going to move where for what $1 billion is all you think about. So we got a lot to talk about. Before we move on, though, we are going to have our second ever episode of the Kickback Committee, our new show that has started in our Kickback Media family. That is going to be coming out later today. We have Lori Lindsay on to talk about the European Championships that she was the head broadcaster on, that England just won, that set a record for most viewers in the U.S. and most viewers in England, and I think across Europe. Pretty big game, as well as the Women's African Nations Cup, which was in Morocco as well. And then we have some other fun topics. We're going to have Claudia Pagan as one of our co-hosts on this one alongside me and Susanna. As we get rolling in, we have some creative stuff to throw out there for all of you. Morgan's been in the content mines helping us out and building some really cool stuff that we will roll out there. And we promote, of course, everything we do on Blue Sky. We also will be taking feedback. So we have our 50 states of soccer. We're going to finish up Texas today, which we were able to start in person, which we were very excited about, very rare. And then we've got our next state coming up next week. We will ask for all of your input. We want everyone to tell us what's great about all these states. So we will have all of that across our Blue Sky accounts. So follow us at SoccerWise, of course, and then Kickback Committee, and First Touch, and everywhere else. Let's dig into the ice cream shop, though, Tom, because that's the time of year it is. It is nice that this transfer window is a summer window, and this actually feels connected and relevant. I had a long gelato conversation on Tuesday night after my soccer game, because you play in 95-degree weather and 86% humidity down here, and then everyone leaves and is like, okay, what's your favorite ice cream? And you're like, well, I don't really eat ice cream that much, but Now would be the time to do it. And the only person who makes me want it is Tommy Scoops. Tom, hit us with our first one.
All right, let's start. The New England Revolution are on track to sign U.S. national team goalkeeper Matt Turner. So I use the words on track. Everything is looking good right now. That was the last update I got this morning. But you never know with all these teams involved and all of the difficulties that Turner has gone through this summer. Hopefully, we are very close, light at the end of the tunnel. But there's still some few things to go. So this is how it's going to work. Lyon signed him. And that move was driven by John Textor, their owner and at the time president. As part of the club getting relegated due to financial irregularities, Jesus, that was tough. Due to the club getting relegated initially, they overturned that relegation, and part of it was John Textor was going to step away from being president of the club. Well, when he did that, the people at Lyon said, well, we didn't do this deal. That was a John deal. They were arguing with Nottingham Forest, can we get out of this deal? Nottingham said no, you're paying us $8 million and you're getting the player. So this has been going on for several weeks and, threatening lawyers and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's going to end with the transfer of Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest to Lyon is going to go through, and immediately he will be loaned from Lyon to the New England Revolution on a 1-year loan. He's TAM eligible. He might be a DP initially, just depending on what makes sense for the cap. But this is why everything's on track. But there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall just formulaically. And this is a team. These are teams that aren't the most trustworthy and sometimes can be irrational. So everybody's hopeful. And again, it looks like that's how this is going to end. And everybody feels good about it. But a couple things have to happen just to get it all the way done.
This is wild. This is
yes.
It's wild that I think it's kind of wild that the move's happening. The moment you hear it, or a second after, you're like, okay, fine, makes sense. He's looking for a place to play. He's trying to. Mauricio Pochettino has proven that if you play well in MLS, he will give you your shot, right? He needs to sharpen his skills. He needs to get minutes. And he broke through originally playing with the New England Revolution. Obviously, Kevin Hitchcock got brought up 15 times after this happened. The goalkeeper whisperer and the goalkeeper coach that helped Matt Turner go from a goalkeeper at Fordham. Is he a Fordham guy? Is he Hartford?
No. It was
Sacred Heart?
No. Over two. Fairleigh Dickinson.
No, really?
Believe so.
Okay. Who we did a clip with him, me and Weeby at an All-Star game. He gave up a goal in college where the ball hit the crossbar.
Sorry. Fairfield University.
I knew it was Connecticut. I knew it was
New Jersey born.
Yeah. Okay, relax, dude. Relax. It's a little bit too much. You're doing too much now, Tom. Just take it down. Just take it down a notch. He gave up a goal where the ball popped up off the crossbar and he couldn't find it and it went off him and went in. And he broke it down for us, and he actually legitimately broke it down for us. He went from that to the USMNT starting goalkeeper and getting signed by Arsenal. He needs to find a way to get back there. This part makes sense. It's just in the grand context of he had already found a move to a borderline European champions team, depending on who owns them at what time and what they're getting punished with and what's happening. To go from that, I think, to he's going to go back to the Revs was a little bit shocking for me at first of I would have thought it would have been in the Lyon world of things, teams that bounce around between Europa and Champions League that he would have made sense of going to. But now you're back, the clock's against you. And I think the idea is just get minutes.
Yes. And before we get to that, I want to talk about the human side. I feel so incredibly bad for the last 18 months, essentially, of Matt Turner. So, look, he had his chance at Nottingham. They ended up benching him, and, that's fine. That kind of thing happens. That summer, he had 2 loan offers. Deals were ready to go, where he was going to be a starter at a Bundesliga club and a starter at a La Liga club. Nottingham Forest said, we're not loaning you this summer. We're not. It's got to be, and they were asking for some. We want all of our money back after they benched him and signed 3 goalkeepers. They weren't in that negotiating position. So they said, screw you, you're not gonna. So Turner was kind of stuck. And then 3 days before the window closed, they go, maybe we'll sanction a loan if you can go find one. And at that point, all of these clubs had starting goalkeepers. Yeah. So the best it was, all right, I'll either be third string at Nottingham or backup at Crystal Palace. That's better. So he goes to Crystal Palace, wins the FA Cup. He only played 4 games that season. And again, this summer, it seems like he gets the move early. He's going to go be the starter at Lyon because Lyon is going to go sell.
He was out in front of it.
They moved for him very quickly. They put the project in front of him. And then the president leaves, and the team is threatening lawsuits to get out of the transfer. This is a human being at the bottom of this, man. And none of that is his fault. Like, you can maybe say, like, getting benched at Nottingham, like, wasn't good enough. Fair, whatever. Everything since then, this poor man has been stuck at just, people tug of war over nonsense. And so, like, that, I just really hope that there is no more dumb surprises to come up. There are no more irrational decisions or people being petty or another threat. Like, I just hope that all of these little steps, again, everything's all agreed, everything's in place. It just needs to be triggered and happen, and it should. But I just feel bad for what he's gone through the last 2 years, that it's not fair. And if this ends with him wearing the New England Revolution shirt again, in goal, playing every game, and getting back to, like, 2020, 2021, those were two of the literal best goalkeeping seasons in MLS history.
There's Tony Miola by Georgie Petrovic the year after.
The elite tier is Tony Miola's MVP season, those Matt Turner seasons, and then Georgie Petrovic. Like, that's the list right now. Like, again, Andre Blake, what Roman Burke's done, but, like, I can't stress how incredible he was in those two seasons. He broke, like, the advanced shot-stopping models. And, again, if we see that Matt Turner again, I'd be thrilled. And I hope for him that he just gets a chance to do it and he stops getting kind of yanked around by forces out of his control.
And that's where the Revs makes the most sense of, like, his family's from there. He's lived there. He gets the, like, if you're going to say, I need to find something stable and safe, like, this is as easy as it gets for him. Even a different MLS team wouldn't be the same. So it makes a lot of sense on that side. Ivicic has not been, I think, at the same level he was last year. Doesn't have a great history of being on a roster where he's no longer the starter, so that's something to watch. And the Revs are bad. Like, they've been bad. And so I don't know how much from a, like, pure results and standings point of view Turner can do in the rest of this year, but it can get him into a stable place and get playing. Would your expectation be, if this happens, that he is on the team next year?
It's a 1-year loan, so the at least until the World Cup. And again, I think that it's because then he'll have 2 years left on his Leon contract, and they obviously don't want him. Reassess it then. I think the upside for New England is, okay, it's been a year. Hopefully he's playing well. Hopefully he's happy. And just like, look, you can get out of his contract with a free transfer to us. Kind of like, again, this part is speculation on my end.
The only flip side will be he goes to a World Cup, he's the starter, he plays well. And now his value shifts again.
Or is he at the point where he's like, I'm done with all this crap and this nonsense. Just let me go somewhere that I know that they care about me, and I'm going to sign a 4-year contract and just be happy. Again, I don't know how that's exactly going to play out. He'll be here for a year once this goes through and figure it out all over again next summer. But as you said, New England, they're 10 points below the playoff line. Listen, guys, it's over. Like, he's not going to mostly over. Maybe I should, it's MLS. And
it's MLS, baby.
I don't think Chicago, NYCFC, or the Red Bulls, the 3 teams ahead of them, are going to, run away with things here. But I don't trust New England to make up 10 points over the last 10 games.
Yeah. Someone said in our chat, which is true, I think we mentioned it on the last show, Thiago Martins out now for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe more. Keaton Part's out, unfortunately, once again for a long time. And
speaking of guys who can't get a break.
I know. I think the assumption is that we won't see him play soccer again this year, and hopefully we'll see him play soccer again. He is one of, I think, many of our favorites to watch, and as you said, like, really unfortunate what's happened to him. So there is space. I also think you get teams where it's like, as teams start to wander focus-wise, I think a little bit of that will be Leagues Cup if some teams can start to sneak into later rounds, as well as, like, okay, some teams that thought they were going to achieve higher. If you don't, how much, like, team spirit is there in there? So you can make late playoff runs, and I think the other question would be who the coach is. That he will be playing under through most of that stretch, because right now it is still Caleb Porter, and the results have not been there. And the results have not been there for the second time in a year and the third time in 2 years.
The third time in 2 years?
Well, last year was just 100% bad.
So you get -2 on that one.
Yeah. So he started this year with no wins. He's got no wins now, and last year was one stretch of no wins.
Just one more note on New England. They're working to bring in a U22 initiative number 9 this window. Don't know how likely it is. Their top target is for sure in demand, so we'll see how that plays out. But New England are trying to be busy. They're doing what they can, although unfortunately the promise that they were showing in, what was that, May, it is all gone away. And again, they are 10 points below the playoff line.
If we had to pick now, that let's say Matt Turner comes back healthy, plays all the minutes, do we think Matt Turner is the starter for the 2026 World Cup for the U.S. men's national team as a New England Revolution player?
It's a great question. So I I can't call it right now between him, Matt Freese, and Zach Steffen. And again, I think Patrick Schulte still has a realistic shot of being in this
tough
competition.
Week for Patrick Schulte. Did not look good in the Toluca game.
I agree. But like again, between the four of them, again, the first three and then Schulte is probably how I'd cushion it. But again, this is going to be a thing where we're talking about this every 3 weeks until the World Cup, I think.
Got it. Yeah, I think you're right, and it will be interesting if everyone's in that conversation in MLS. You're seeing them against the same teams. You're seeing them against each other. Like, it gives you a better barometer than how do we judge this, what Matt Freese does against the Red Bulls versus what Matt Turner's doing against Saint Etienne. Like, how do you judge that? How do you pick that and choose? It'll be everyone against each other. I still think it's wild that Roman Celentano's not in this conversation. We could do that another day, though. I don't think that's necessary for right now. Let's go to the next one. Tommy Scoops. Where do you want to go?
So we talked about this a bit on the show, and then there was immediately got the updates that Thomas Muller is going to sign for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Everything is all done. Deals agreed. They're just going through the final fine points and, drawing up, signing contracts and making sure they're just going through the wording, right? Everything is all set. And FC Cincinnati will receive up to around $400,000 in allocation money for his discovery rights. And again, since he felt like this mirrors Charlotte last year in that, like with Marco Roy's situation with the Galaxy, why they're getting this number is like since he made a fair and competitive offer, and they were talking to him for a while. And again, like sources told me that Muller and Cincy started talking in January. So I think like Cincy put a lot of time into it, and that's why they felt fair to be asking for some for the fee that they're getting. And as long as this didn't harm the deal or make the deal put it in jeopardy in any way, fair enough. All of that's good. Thomas Muller coming to the Vancouver Whitecaps for a team that in January was put up for sale, a team that already doesn't spend very much money, to be bringing in Thomas Muller. Like you said it on the last show, Goss, it's again, 3 weeks ago, we would have, if we were like, where should Thomas Muller go? We would have rattled off, 22 teams before Vancouver, and just well done by them to get it done. And I can really see how this succeeds with him playing off of Brian White, with him playing ahead of Berhalter and Kubas, and the movement and the intelligence and the possession-based style that they have. I can see all the way it goes right, and that's how I'm choosing to view it. What say you?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Like, as I said last time, I think the things he does great are things that translate anywhere, as long as the game states can fit it, and Vancouver's do. Like the stuff Jaden Nelson creates, the stuff Kubas is able to break lines with, the way Ocampo gets forward, like he will get the ball around the 18. And he's one of the best in history finishing once he gets the ball around the 18 and creating
and now create in his late stage, like his brain and creativity has been really great.
And a lot of that stuff's like slide pass when he opens his hips. So you think he's shooting far post, he slides it back to the near post to a pass, like all that type of stuff, which I think Vancouver likes to play a little bit of tiki-taka around the box. And I think that's where Mueller's like capable of that. But a lot of this stuff is going to be like transition down the left, pull back stuff to Mueller cutting in and first time finish or good first touch and second time finish. I think all that stuff works. And I think the way Vancouver's set up is like, if the worst case scenario is he's a super sub and a little bit of a finisher for the next few weeks, like that's fine. They don't need much more right now. And then he could grow into more or it ends up being Gareth Bale off the bench in the playoffs, which Vancouver last year was that one piece short of getting over LAFC. And if they had, we don't know how far they could have gone. So if he's that piece alone, that might be worth it. And in saying that, this team is so different than they were last year, even though the personnel hasn't changed a ton. I don't even know that that's a fair comparison, but that's like a base level way to do it. I appreciate that Cincinnati has like put in work into this and gets like a little bit of something of like, they went down the road of sort of having the conversation of him being like, yeah, I'll come to MLS. I'll come to, I want to play here and figure it out. And then it doesn't end up working out. And yet they still get a little bit of a reward. I understand the jokes around like, oh, they discovered Thomas Muller. Like, I get it. It's not but
every dude who, like, again, like when Fabrizio Romano kind of confirmed it and tagged me, Tom reported first, gotta tell you, I don't know, somewhere upwards of 12,000 dudes commented making hilarious. the discovery
it's
list
funny.
joke.
It's funny this time because it wasn't as funny last time, but when it's this time, then it gets funnier. And the key is next time, it'll be even funnier. That's where you really start to hit your sweet spot.
Let me again, and just to hammer home the point of like why I think he fits style. So like, I refuse to take the L on Olivier Giroud. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to refuse to accept it. I think he would have been a great signing if they played the way the Vancouver play. But we'll never know because they wanted to play in transition and only transition, and the possession wasn't good enough around Olivier Giroud. My point here with Muller is Vancouver are 5th in MLS in possession, 5th in MLS in field tilt. That means most of the game is happening in the front. They are 27th in long pass share, so everything's on the ground. They're not trying to play in transition. Direct attacks and attack speed, they're in the bottom third. Not dead last or anything, but it shows that they want to possess the ball and get forward. And again, all of this suits Thomas Muller. The only thing stylistically to worry about is that they're 5th in the league in passes per defensive action, which essentially means lose the ball, go get it back. And I think he can still do that, particularly within they're not playing like Red Bull soccer, like car crash stuff, but it's like possession based, but if we lose it, go get it back immediately. I think he fits that.
Sorry, let me get my glasses on. Classic Tom in the analytics chamber, just breaking it down with the data and the stats. Tommy Scoops 101 stuff right there. But yeah, everything you said makes 100% sense. I mean, we have someone in the chat talking about Giroud not fitting Dolo ball, right? Like that was the whole thing is Giroud at his age came, played at his feet, get him around the box, and then they were like, no, we're going to play in transition. You're always going to come from deep areas. Didn't work. This one makes sense on the field. I think it makes sense off the field as well. Like, there's so much belief in this Vancouver group. That's what we saw in CCC. Was like, yeah, we're not intimidated by being in Mexico, by being in Miami against Messi, like all of this. But like, you got to think you raise your shoulders a little bit more and you walk in with a little more confidence when like Thomas freaking Muller is walking in next to you for a playoff game and you're like, yeah, we're the better team. We're going to win this. Like having that, I think, in your back pocket. And I think it's a little bit of a sign from like Axel Schuster and his group of like, he asked this team not to be a wasted year. And now he's putting his money where his mouth is of like, yeah, you have performed well. We're going to give you the resources to continue to push this. It doesn't hurt probably in a stadium conversation, which he has said, like Vancouver's been pretty progressive about with them of like, we want this team to stay. What can we do? I think Don Garber gave comments about this at the All-Star game when asked of like, yeah, it's something that needs to be figured out, but the key goal is to keep the team in Vancouver. And a lot of that is tied to getting out of BC Place, getting into a space that the team can own so that the team can make and generate, revenue similar to the other teams in MLS, as well as probably create a better atmosphere that becomes more appealing for other players to want to come. And so if Thomas Mueller's the tip of that spear, like maybe this is something that grows going forward, but it's good to have that first example and that first opportunity and to have a huge name. Like since Alphonso Davies, they haven't had one. I will say someone's got to talk about Alphonso Davies' GM and his ability to help get Thomas Muller to his hometown club in Vancouver cannot be ignored. And I think many of the other Canada fans are like, okay, can we get someone out there who can help push players like our way? Like, can we get Ismail Kone in some of these conversations pushing players to Montreal? They probably wouldn't sign them anyway. Maybe Toronto has the similar setup. Probably wouldn't work.
Only if they go to an MLS team, fail, and then that's when.
So here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go to New England. It's located in Boston, outside. What you're going to want to do is not play very often, and then you're going to want to force a trade for very little, and then you get to play in Montreal.
And sorry, one more Vancouver note. There's a lot of mystery around Ryan Gauld and his supposed return time. They were hoping that he was June 1st for the CCC final. Obviously, that was 2 months ago. Jesper Sorensen said he still doesn't have a timetable. So I was hoping to see that best 11 this year. Maybe they'll have to wait for 26, but that's just another update there before we move on.
All right, let's move to the next one. We've got a couple center back signings that we're going to hit all together. My favorite position. Tom, roll us through it.
Yeah, I'll start with Colorado Rapids. They have completed a deal to sign English center back Rob Holding from Crystal Palace. Holding, long time with Arsenal, the Rapids' sister club, as you well know. And he was on loan at Sheffield United over the last half of last season. Sheffield United wanted to re-sign him. Rob Holding ultimately chose the Rapids, did his medical, finished that yesterday. Paperwork and everything is getting completely submitted, approved, or whatever today. So that's about to be done if it isn't already by the time I'm talking here. So Colorado bring in their veteran center back, somebody that they want to be starting after Chidozie Awaziem left for Nantes, which again, they did well by him. His family never came here. They didn't stand in his way, even when they didn't have a replacement. And I don't think I can say positive things about that enough because caring about the humans is just the right thing to do. They've also brought in U.S. Youth International Noah Cobb on loan from Atlanta United with a purchase option. So really good business, I think, for the Rapids in central defense, though it will hurt losing Chidozie Awaziam, but that was out of their control.
Yeah. This is now a full year or two of them kind of loading up at center back. And I think that's the right move. Whether you're playing 2 or 3, it gives you options. They've unfortunately, I think Maxu, the moment he came, got hurt. So they've had, unfortunately, a history. But this is a little bit of the model we have talked about in the past of could an MLS team win if you put more resources in positions other people don't if you don't high-end spend. If you have the best center back pairing in front of a national team goalkeeper with an elite D mid, does that equal 3 DPs in the attack for another team that you're not going to spend on? And Colorado has leaned into that at times over the last few years. I think they are it's about finding the right pieces in all of that, making sure they're the right players that are worth that, which is why it's always been hard to sign DP center backs because the gap between play there is really, really tough. And it needs to be part of a cohesive unit. And if it's not, it's hard for them to shine or perform at all. But it makes a ton of sense. And the replacement for William was necessary. LAFC as well. We talked about this a little bit last show that they unfortunately have to replace Aaron Long.
Oh. I thought you were talking about this player. So that wasn't out. Yeah, LAFC are signing a center back called Ryan Porteous from Watford. He's a Scotland international. I think this is an interesting deal. Seems to be a strong profile. He's playing a lot for Watford. He's got a lot of experience already, and he's in his prime. I think this is a good deal. LAFC they pluck dudes like this out of. They are. It's like they're addicted to making these random good signings, and then if he does really well, maybe he'll be gone in a year too, right?
Yeah.
But it is so impressive how they're able to overturn their roster and deal with all these random things, and still, again, whether they're getting over the final hump or not, they're always in the mix, and I think that's impressive. And one more thing to add here too, Neil McGuinness is the technical director for LAFC. He's Scottish, worked for Celtic for a while, all that. I'm sure that this was tapped in from his network. So LAFC, go to South America, go to Europe, go wherever, and they and maybe to Spurs to bring in Son next, but we'll see what else happens this summer. But they needed a center back, and they got at least one, and they're still working, I believe, on that Colombian center back.
Leagues Cup is funny because it's basically just an LAFC show. Brian Rodrigo scores a free kick, David Martinez chips the keeper, and Bogusz is going to play today, and you're all right, all of them, they all just play for LAFC because they keep rolling through everyone and throw everyone back out into the region. You mentioned Son there. Any big update we should do?
No, again, nothing. I think everything stands from 3 days ago.
He lifted a trophy, I think, in South Korea. He won something with Tottenham. Yeah, some preseason thing against Arsenal.
Well, they still play again.
They play Newcastle on Sunday.
Yeah. So that's the end. That's when I'm expecting to hear more. Is when after this tour is done.
Can LAFC thread this needle of he's still in South Korea? They could do all the promo stuff in South Korea and then have him come.
That's a good idea.
But not rain on Tottenham's parade, who are trying to sell jerseys while they're there.
Exactly. Do it. Do the photo shoot with the LAFC shirt at the hotel or maybe at some discreet locations and hold that stuff for if a deal gets done. But I like the way you're thinking.
Let's do Timo Werner here as well, because I know you've been messaging out about him this week.
Yeah, the update here is it's Red Bulls are still in the mix. Timo Werner, it comes down to he's on something around $11 million, 12, something like that at Leipzig. Leipzig have made it clear you are not in our plans. You will not play if you stay. And the Red Bulls offer is on the table. I think it's around $7 million, I believe. Again, don't hard and fast dollar to dollar here. Something in that range. And Muller was no, match my Leipzig contract and I'll come. The other offers that he has, Bild reported, Mönchengladbach is offering $3.5 million. So the Red Bulls offer is vastly the best on the table, other than just stay at Leipzig and never play. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it's just a game of negotiating here, but Red Bulls can't wait forever, but they're still hopeful. They made their pitch. They had executives in Leipzig, I don't know, several weeks ago when they made that offer, trying to convince him on the project and why he'll fit and everything. And again, they're still in the mix, but no hard and fast updates here. We'll see who blinks first, if anybody, or if the Red Bulls are going to move on.
It's tough because I think the hope was get this done early.
Yep. Make
this a year that Timo Werner's a factor, and now it's feeling really hard to think by the time he decides, by the time he comes, how many games he'll play and how cohesive he'll be. Obviously, last year the Red Bulls proved they can make a run in the playoffs. And
got to get to the playoffs.
but you have to get there. They are 10th. They have also made it 19 years in a row. So I don't know that that's like the total calculation in the building is that they're going to miss out on it. But yeah, they're currently sitting outside the spots. I think it's just unfortunate that if the move happens, it won't be a fact or as big a factor as it could be this year. You could argue that Timo Werner's good enough and fits the system well enough that, like, whatever, it is what it is. If you get 2-3 years after this of him in his prime, like, committed to this, it doesn't really matter. They need something, though. I think the worry that I'm hearing from Red Bull fans, like, there's no plan B. If there's no timeline for him to have to say yes or no, then if he chooses to take a ton of time, there's no time to pivot. And this team isn't good enough right now without another piece.
So they're 2 points below the playoff line, and the two teams ahead of them have a game in hand. So that could get worse. Their loss to Chicago was really, really difficult for their playoff chances. So the visa process, most teams I talk to, most American MLS teams, I should say, because the Canadian teams, unfortunately, it's more difficult for them. But the American teams I speak to say, you never exactly know. They joke about how did Inter Miami get Rodrigo to pause so quickly for him to debut. But the general consensus is, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks, something like that for a visa. Hypothetically speaking, let's say Timo Werner says yes, signs some stuff a week or 10 days. Like, if he doesn't debut in like September 1st, the Red Bulls will have 4 games left in the regular season. So to your point, like, and when was the last time he played 90 minutes? I genuinely do not know. Let alone, like, he's not exactly preparing for the Leipzig season. Like, again, he's in preseason stuff, whatever, right? But it's a little different when you know that you're not even going to be put on the bench, right? Like, you're not going to be in a match day squad. So, yeah, this was something that, like you said, Gus, I was hoping that they were going to have paperwork filed and ready to go for the day one of the transfer window, and that's not the case.
If Lewis Morgan was healthy, this conversation would be different. That's not been the case, and that's like an unfortunate thing they've had to deal with. They've gotten more than they would have expected out of Sofo. They've gotten some out of Doncor. They've gotten some out of Wiki Carmona. Like, there's been enough attacking pieces around it to keep them afloat. But to match what you were last year, even the little bit you got from Van Zier that they just haven't replaced because they've also lost Lewis Morgan. And so it's like what Choupo-Moting is bringing is really one of them, not both of them. And that's where this team has taken this like half step back that they're trying to figure out. But those are two of the bigger names. Some other smaller ones, Tom. Why don't you run us through? You want to do a bunch of players that teams want that they don't get?
Yeah. Let me start with Santi Moreno, and then I'll be much quicker on the rest. Santi Moreno, Fluminense in Brazil, made an offer of about $4 million for Moreno. That is vastly below what the Portland Timbers would be looking for. I will say they've rejected bids of $5 million from MLS clubs this winter, so they're not going to turn around and take $4 million. And besides the point is, they want to add players to their core, not lose them. They've already agreed in principle for like a new contract for Santi Moreno that has to start next year because he's a U22 initiative right now, and they can't start the contract now or he loses his U22 slot, and then they're not cap compliant. So they've already earlier this year agreed pretty much a max TAM deal.
It's so tight that he's 25 years old on the U22 initiative contract.
Right. But they've worked it well. So like their whole thing is like they want to keep him. Like Santi Moreno like feels this will be better for him to have a chance to get to the Colombian national team for the World Cup. Totally get that. Portland want to keep him. They aren't considering this offer, right? Like that was rejected out of hand. And if Fluminense almost double it. Like I just don't see a world in which this has a chance. So I think that one is one. And again, Portland are working hard on a couple big additions, and we'll see what happens.
One of the things that's just been odd about the Santi Moreno experience in Portland is that so many teams have put in offers for him inside and outside of MLS. So there's some feeling somewhere that he wants to move or that they want to move him, and it has never happened. The Galaxy put in a bid, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it would have been a GAM record trade, yeah.
Yeah. And so, it has always been bizarre to me. I think he has been a top performer for the team year in and year out. I think he has been crucial when anyone's been hurt, where, he can run the attack for a little bit. And I think he fits with most players because he can go out wide and break players down and create, or he can come inside and link up. And it was different when it was Valeri and Evander, and it's been different through all these eras. I think he fits it pretty well. He's not the best player on the team, but every time a bid comes in, or the first time the Galaxy did it, you're yeah, for sure. He's a player that you would want on your roster. Yeah. I think that's bizarre that it keeps coming up from the outside. Now, the Timbers might be that's not our fault. What can we do? People want our player. It happens. But it's weird that they keep saying no and people keep coming back and knocking on the door. Not the only one getting an offer rejected. you put out a report that West Brom put in an offer for Luca Bombino, who scored a goal against Pachuca in Leagues Cup, and that they turned it down thinking his value has even more. Makes sense for a kid who just started playing that you think it's going to get better. It also is insane that LAFC could not find a minute for this player who has proven he's this guy throughout Next Pro, playing for the Brazilian youth national team, as well as the U.S. youth national teams. I think it is part of LAFC's setup that is not working right now, is getting the number one talent market in the country to produce players for you. And then Max Arfston, you put out there that the offer came back from France, but is not going to be acceptable where it says. Oh, you did.
I haven't made an update on Max Arfston since I think like June. Early June.
Okay, so a fake reporter put out a fake rumor about Max Arfston.
Did you get Tom Boogerd?
Maybe I got Tom Boogerd. Either way, I would have thought I did when I read Antonio Carlos is back in MLS. But Tom, this gives me all of the juice, and I am not selling my Houston stock still. Even with the Tigres game that I watched this week, I was like, they created a ton of chances. It was a bit of a mess. Tigres is a good team. Center back is I wouldn't say it's a hole for them, but I would like to see it be stabilized, and Antonio Carlos is going to be that guy, man.
Yeah, we're running out of time here on this take, though. I'm with you there. But I think
we're not out based off the Red Bulls last season, we're not out of time until MLS Cup happens.
Good point. Until they get eliminated. The thing with Houston is like when I expect them to win, they lose, and when I expect them to lose, they win. Like I've just been off on them all season long.
Yeah, I think you're the problem. The problem is you.
But yeah, they bring in Antonio Carlos. I think that'll help. We'll talk about them, I think, a little bit later in the Leagues Cup. So I'll save my critiques.
It's not going to be a good segment for Jonathan Bond. For reference, Antonio Carlos, longtime Orlando City player, helped them to some of their peaks, was the best center back at the club. And then since he's left, I think Robin Johnson has stepped into that role, but wasn't like that when Carlos was there. And then went back to Brazil, was at Fluminense, didn't play a ton. Got loaned to Recife, was there for a little bit, played a bit as they got promoted, not a ton, now coming back at 32 years old to play. Not the only Dallas team making a move. I thought this one was kind of fascinating to me, but Marco Farfan is not long for this MLS life as he could be headed to Tigres.
Yeah, clubs agreed on terms, and then it's just about whether the players accepts a contract and says yes. This is an interesting one because Tigres had been in for Joseph Rosales, and they turned to Marco Farfan, and they're a huge club. If the player, you always have to consider this, so we'll see what happens. Dallas could get a little bit of money, and the player could get a move, but we'll see. This was one that kind of came out of nowhere, and it's absolutely real.
This is a great move for Dallas because he's like not really a locked-in starter anymore, and I think they have young players that they believe in. Nolan Norris being the top of that list at this position. They're not great this year, so it's a year to maybe try and give more minutes there. And if you make that type of money off a left back that hasn't really proven at an international level, I think it's a great move for FC Dallas. It's also one of those moments, Leagues Cup brings this up, where you're like, this player was fine in MLS, and they're going to get signed by these like gigantes Mexican teams. What is happening? And that's where you're like, oh, if MLS increased things a little bit, they're actually closer than we think. Monday was not, or Tuesday night was not proof of that, which we'll dig into in a moment. I want to give the shout out to Snyder Brunel, who signed a homegrown deal, one of my favorite young players in the country with the Seattle Sounders. And then RSL signed Marco Zambrano, who's been sort of bounced around leaving Philadelphia, but a big time prospect. And RSL's done a lot of work in building this rank of like signing 17 to 19-year-olds who could be homegrowns or not to sort of fill in as they continue to grow out their academy below that.
Yeah, and they already signed Diego Rocio from the Philadelphia Union Academy. That deal, his MLS deal goes into effect next season. Zambrano, it's right now for that MLS deal. And look, like if you're advising a player, and RSL's they'll play the kids, man. Like Diego Gozo, obviously, Gozo is another one. Like so, that's again, it'll be difficult for Zambrano will probably end up having to play more on the wing. I haven't seen him much since he left. Philly. I know that he's a center forward, but he can play wide. But just they already have Willie Agada, they're bringing in Juan Cruz and Victor Olatunji. So there's probably not going to be minutes at center forward. But again, if he earns it in training, he will get on the field. Pablo Mastroeni and RSL have proved that over and over again.
Yeah. It is definitely a good spot to land. RSL, one of the fun teams to watch in Leagues Cup. Let's dig into Leagues Cup. I put in our rundown to start things. The big question: does anyone go full Bruce Arena Railhawks on this thing and leave? I think the first round of games was fairly entertaining. Liga MX bodied MLS on the first night. MLS recovered a little bit on the second night, but as results come through, you're hearing coaches and teams be like, okay, we're done. We're out. Top 4 get in of 18. You don't play the teams that you are competing against, so you don't control their points. It feels like you have to go perfect to get out of the group stage. And the question becomes, what happens to the teams that have already dropped results? I would say even not getting a full win and going into a PK shootout might be enough to knock you off an opportunity to go through into the next round.
Exactly. I do want to, again, that's what I was hearing from sources before this tournament started. And guys, like you said, we've heard, that's
in
been
press
kind of
conferences, coaches have said this.
Exactly. On the record and stuff too. Can you just go back, for those who may not know, the Railhawks Bruce Arena bit that you just did? I think we should fill people in, and it's always good to go down memory lane.
I think there was 3 years in a row where the LA Galaxy played at the time, Carolina Railhawks, now North Carolina FC, located in Raleigh, North Carolina, in early rounds of the U.S. Open Cup when Bruce Arena was in charge of the LA Galaxy. So for starters, as you see now, the tournament's been regionalized. You don't really make a trip like that early. You may never make a trip like that because all the way through to the semifinals, tournament's regionalized. So the LA Galaxy had to fly from LA to Raleigh, North Carolina midweek to play games. Bruce Arena decided he didn't really care. So I think they went 1 year, they played a bunch of backups, they lost. Then the second year, Bruce Arena, and I have not re-looked this up, so this is all based off memory, so my years are probably wrong.
Don't even look it up. Keep it at
Bruce
whatever
Arena
version's in your head.
Didn't show up to the game. He was like, I'm not going to go. This doesn't matter. And every time they beat them, we'd call it getting railhawked because the LA Galaxy would get railhawked right in the head. I do want to say, oh my God, Matt Folger's going to kill me for this. Hans Baca. I think Hans Baca also did this with a Chicago Fire Red Bulls Open Cup game where he straight up did not show up for a game. And if this isn't true, Hans Baca, email me. You have my email. I used to have Hans Baca on every single one of my men's league teamed emails. Hans.baca@NewYorkRedBulls.com was just in the thread of emails and would get sent every email and then started bouncing back. So you've got my email, man. That's all I'm saying. If you want to complain about this and I'm wrong, it's out there. So yeah, you got to just Tom, you got to reach out to people and let people know.
I don't even know where to start.
So eventually Bruce Arena didn't show up. I think Carolina won 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 in a row in the Open Cup, and then they regionalized things and changed things, and I don't know what happened in the end. I do think there is a chance that a Liga MX coach at some point in this that's fully eliminated by the third game is like, I'm going home, or I'm taking the first team home. We're playing the kids, and we're not even paying attention to this result.
That was a great story, and that was what I was in for. But you said Hans Baca, and I just pulled up his wiki because, now I'm just getting lost in
let's do it.
Can I just read you this man's CV? His last 6 jobs before he retired. 2016 Finland national team for you.
Sweet.
He didn't work for 4 years after the Red Bulls, so it goes Finland, 4-year gap to the Red Bulls. Before that, Notts County. Before that, Mexico national team assistant. Before that,
probably under Sven.
Manchester City assistant.
Yeah, under Sven as well. Yeah.
Panathinaikos. Before that, Copenhagen.
Unreal.
What an incredible! What a life, man! What a life!
Wild. I would love to be a journeyman international manager, and I know it probably sucks and it's super hard. But if you were like, "Hey, man, what is your goal?" and if your goal is to be head coach of Malawi, how do you get there? And it's well, I would love to coach Suriname for a year. I would love to end up in Fiji, maybe bounce around in the Balkans for a bit. End up in East Africa and then finish, as an AFCON head coach for that. Sounds like an epic life to me. I think for many people it would suck.
You got to get into Football Manager and make that dream come true.
Yeah, that actually probably. Can we get a sponsorship? Come on, Football Manager. We've talked about you once this whole month. Sponsor us.
I was in the mix for when FM 25 was going to be released, and then they ended up canceling it. I was in the mix to do some stuff with them. So some people are saying maybe I ruined FM25.
Oh, you broke it. Cool.
I
you
hope
broke
that they
it for
call me
all
back.
of us.
I hope that they call me back, call us back for FM26. I'm just putting it out there.
So 20, it looks like now that I actually did the research and didn't just rip it off my memory, he skipped in 2013 and then they went and lost in 2014 as well. Or then went and lost in 2014 as well. So shout out to Brusso. Still doing it.
It's weird that the chat's gone pretty quiet now.
Yeah. Everyone's on. Tyler Connor said, "Did I miss the Matt Turner talk?" Yes, you did. Adrian Gandhi talking about can't stand Agata. Really, Agata brutal miss last night that should have sealed that game against Club America. Overall, though, the big story out of this round, Tom, Rodrigo DePaul made his debut for Inter Miami. It was a 96-minute winner for Weingart. Both goals set up by Lionel Messi. Yeah.
Can we just talk about the champagne football they played for, particularly the game-winning goal, in the last seconds of stoppage time? It's just one-touch passes into a tap-in. Just, that was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. The ball moved. It was smooth. Getting DePaul on the field, as you said, huge bonus for Miami that they can get the paperwork done very quickly, get him in the building. He walked in with Suarez and Messi, everyone just looking like a big family in all of it. And I mean, there's just like no world in which this doesn't help. The fact that he's not the DP, it's just like, oh, we just added Rodrigo DePaul. We didn't take anything away to do this. It's obviously going to be a huge feature for them. And shocking. Messi, played 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Always skipping out on things. Somehow found it in his tank to play 90 minutes. Too bad he represented MLS in a positive way and helped them beat a Liga MX team. And he couldn't possibly do that in a friendly. It's embarrassing, I think, across the board. But one of the huge stories, as I said, the first night, it was all Liga MX, 6 for 6, if you include the shootouts, in victories over MLS teams.
No. CF Montreal put some goddamn respect.
Shootout. Yeah, sorry. They beat Leon in their shootout. My apologies. It looked like Columbus was going to cruise. Toluca able to get back into that one. We mentioned Schulte. First goal off his hands, back into the striker. Second one, not feet planted. And a header to the far post that probably didn't have enough power to really get in, off Schulte's hands. And in, Diego Rossi scored a penalty kick in the first half. I don't know if you and Sam Shaskell saw this, but Max Arfton's sort of goal to make it 2-0. It's almost like he's an effective player. Yeah, no. Scoring goals is bad.
He's a phenomenal MLS player for the Crew. When he plays wingback in Wilfred Nancy's system. I love it. 10 out of 10.
Great.
Stop positioning me as if we dislike this player. I think he's bad.
Okay, cool. So just reminder again, it was bad that he scored goals?
You're right. Anthony Robinson couldn't do that, right?
I don't know. Prove it. I haven't seen it. Prove it to me. Can Anthony Robinson do it on a humid night against Toluca? That is the question everyone is asking.
The historic weight and pressure of the League's Cup.
Yeah, the historic weight and pressure. Rossi had a penalty kick. So after Toluca equalized, Rossi had a penalty kick in the 88th minute, which was saved. It probably would have won the game. Then they go into the shootout. But my point in all of this is like, once you get to the shootout, you may have already been eliminated. Because if you don't, there's a very good possibility that 4 teams go 9 for 9 out of this, or 8 points. And so you might already be behind the 8 ball. Yeah. It didn't matter. Toluca won it in the end. Wessam Abu Ali not available for this one. Once again, another game where you're like, yep, you can see all the spots that he can fit in and help out. Interesting that Rossi took the penalty kick twice, but it happens. Tigres, as we said, smoking Houston in the end, but it was tight. It was 1-1 in like the 60-something minute. Jonathan Bond turns over a ball out of the back. It's not the worst moment. It leads to a screamer of a goal against him. And then a few minutes later, Arter with one of the worst back passes you will ever see.
That was awful.
Covered up in the conversation because Jonathan Bond gets washed twice on double step overs for the eventual finish. And it was just one of those nights where you're like, it sucks to be a goalkeeper.
That was honestly mean from Angel Correa. He got him on the first one, and he was almost like, I think he did the first move to set up the second one, but he shook Jonathan Bond out of his shoes and then kind of couldn't compute the second move he was gonna do, so he just beat him again. Like
it very much felt like he didn't think the first one would work and wasn't prepared for it to work, and then it worked, and then he does it again. You're like, oh, you're gonna screw this up, and then it worked a second time, which is just brutal.
Listen, Tigres again, Gigantes. There is no guarantee that if an MLS team made the same offer, that again, even if the money was completely the same, then Angel Correa wouldn't have picked Tigres over him.
But
I am extremely disappointed that maybe there's something that we haven't heard about. Nothing but probably I didn't hear a goddamn murmur about an MLS team going for Angel Correa, and watching him against Houston. What an A+ signing that would have. Well done to Tigres to get that done. Tigres have their heir apparent finally to Gignac. They've tried Tovan. They've tried plenty of other players. Angel Correa is that dude, man. My God.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. I mean, I can't fully knock MLS of like they're in the Griezmann. A team's in the Griezmann combo. They're in the Rodrigo DePaul combo. That's the Angel Correa world, right? You're talking about a player probably below those two in terms of profile right now because of how much he's actually played. In saying all of that, I wish Angel Correa was in Major League Soccer.
Dude.
He's awesome, and he's been awesome for Atletico Madrid for a really, really long time. In all of that, though, Houston looked good. I'm not worried about it. I'm keeping my stock, and I'm ready to go. Puebla crushed NYCFC 3-0.
They lost 4-1.
It doesn't matter, dude. Until Tigres is in the running for the Western Conference playoff line, I'm going to feel okay about Houston's performance. Also, this was one where the crowd was bumping. Mazatlan and LAFC traded goals in like a 2-minute span, and then the Canoneros won in the shootout. No Hugo Lloris for this one, traveled to Europe to get his green card. David Ochoa got the start. I would argue the goal was savable. Great strike, but from a really tough angle that I guess you'd assume if Hugo Lloris is there, he makes that save. David Martinez with a gorgeous goal, but like LAFC are still putting a lot of these pieces back together. And so not at their full powers. And then Pachuca, San Diego. Pachuca blew San Diego out until a couple late goals after San Diego went down a player, including Luca Bambino's goal, which I was hyped about. Last night, outside of the Inter-Miami game, which was the highlight game of the night, RSL America.
Fun.
Like, I think Club America is one of those teams where there's such a buzz in the building every time. The atmosphere goes up. But RSL balled in this game. They should have been up 3-1. That was their problem. And that is where the Willie Agata question marks come. Whiffed on a ball on an open goal, put a cross for him. I think hit the post on another opportunity as well. But Gozo and Luna were out there just playing. Gonçalves, I think, has started to find his feet and looked a lot better. And to put Club America under that amount of pressure, to control that much of the game, to be able to play through them as consistently as they did, I thought it was really impressive from RSL. And then on the flip side, a little bit heartbreaking that you don't get the full 3 points and you just get the 2 for the shootout win as standard and known.
Yeah, you think you covered it all there. Like, it's like you could look at it optimistically and be like, dude, like that's a really great performance. What they're like, Club America are the best team on the continent. Like, full stop. That's what they are until they get knocked. Yeah, they lost in the Clausura final last year. Well, they've been in the final 4 times in a row, and things happen and they get knockout rounds. So on one hand, you say they played really well. They pushed the best team on the continent. They had the lead. They should have won. And you could say, like, you know, still picked up the 2 points in PKs. Or like you said, the other side of it is, man, like they're still missing that little bit. Like maybe that Willie got a tap. If that's Ruan Cruz, maybe this is 3 points. But like, again, I'm choosing to take a positive for RSL. While holding that space for could have been better, could have been more, but things are looking much better today than, I don't know, a few months ago when RSL were struggling and we didn't know, they missed on their DP9. We don't know what they're going to do. And again, they've got 2 very good forwards on the way, plus plenty of options in the attack. And Diego Luna is obviously the dude. So I'm choosing to be optimistic, though a little disappointing at the end.
RSL on equal games played 4 points better than Houston, and you're looking down on me and my Houston stock like you're some superior East Coast character. And Paolo in the chat says America on fraud watch. Many people are saying this. Last night results in Club World Cup games. Yeah, they don't play well in international competition, and they dominate in Mexico. The Brian Rodriguez goal, by the way, not so. Like that free kick, absurd. And after that, Rafa Cabral ends up saving the whole team and winning the shootout for them.
What a signing
basically.
Rafa Cabral has been.
He's been awesome for them. Minnesota blitz Querétaro. Really good game from them. Kelvin Yeboah, good to see score a goal off that free kick. Start to get some confidence, start to get back into the flow of things. And Coco Carrasquilla basically beating Orlando. Solo goal late to tie it. And then Pumas is able to steal it in PK shootouts. This again, one where you're watching this game, you're like, Orlando looked good. Is this a competition they could contend in? You drop points, and then it's like, is this thing over for them?
Listen, if you have the chance to play Pumas without Aaron Ramsey and you don't pick up all 3
You
points,
are
we're lost. We're lost.
This.
I just love this signing so much. It's incredible.
So, pure wins in the opening game, Portland, Minnesota, and Inter Miami. So, you can't have 4 teams that are going to be perfect coming out of it, but you have 3, and they're going to be the ones sort of setting the tone. Portland has Querétaro and Club America coming up. This, again, another reminder. Club America has dropped points in their first game. By the time you get to the third game, we do not know what a lineup will look like for them. Minnesota has the inverse of that. Club America in the second game. Then they have Atletico San Luis. They crushed Querétaro in their last game. And then Inter Miami are hosting Necaxa coming up, and Pumas. I will say, pick up soccer on Tuesday. There was some Leagues Cup buzz. I think a lot of people called it the Club World Cup to me, but they were talking about Leagues Cup. They knew Inter Miami was playing a Mexican team, and they were curious about it, and they were asking questions. So it's out there, man. People are talking.
That's good. One thing to just clean up a little bit on your end there, like there are still six MLS teams that have not played.
Oh,
yet.
good call.
So
Big
there
games
can
tonight,
be
yeah.
but again, based on how it's going for MLS, maybe not sure. Maybe not
Speaking of that,
that.
so tonight we're not going to hit these because the show won't come out very early before, but Monterrey playing FC Cincinnati, huge game. Chivas Red Bull will be a fun one because there'll be a ton of Chivas fans in the building. Cruz Azul Seattle, a very big one as well. And then the LA Galaxy hosting Tijuana, which the Galaxy are technically like the main hosts of this whole thing, would have hosting privilege all the way through. There is a game that I still remember. I think now that we're in the Bruce Arena era stories, I think it was 2014 CONCACAF Champions Cup. It was probably called CONCACAF Campeones at the time, not even CCL yet. And it was David Beckham and the LA Galaxy against Tijuana when Cholos had just really arrived on the scene and blown up. And it was one of the first MLS Liga MX games in that setting where you're like, this could be a thing. Like MLS could contend. This could be big. Like you had fans driving between the two. You had Beckham and Landon on the field. I think Tijuana won the second leg because I think Bruce started a B team because in perfect fashion, and nothing really went from there after that one. We got a lot to talk about all week, which is why we have a lot of shows. Our NWSL show came out yesterday. The Kickback Committee show, our second ever episode, is going to come out later today with Lori Lindsay on that one. We, of course, were here on Monday as well. Next week, we're going to be back on Monday again, Tom. We're trying to make a little bit of a pivot in our lives and become Monday people, if possible.
Right.
And try and give you everything you need coming out of the weekend.
And then probably the next 2 Mondays might not happen.
Yeah, and then right after that, we're done. We're done. We're out of it. But we'll do it one more time. I think we've got a big picture conversation we want to have about the big storylines coming up for the rest of the year. So we will be here for that one with you. We appreciate everyone who joins us live. So anyone in the chat right now, if you've got any questions, we got a couple extra minutes before Tom has to do 3 TV hits and then report on 5 other stories and anything else. So if you've got any questions for us, feel free to throw them at us. If you are listening to the
Hans Backe
podcast.
stories.
Or if you want to do more Bruce Arena stories, I can try. It's not really my expertise, but I can try and get in there. Reed says Bogert is right about Arfstein isn't good until he stops scoring goals. I would assume.
If your argument is null and void if you can't pronounce his name.
Tom, I could do whatever I want. That's the key to what's happening right now.
Guys, on that front, when Maxi Falcone threw his face into somebody loading up a full shot,
You were like,
I was like
Falcone.
Yeah.
Falcone. What the funny part was, so in my Miami soccer crew, there is a Ude Chile fan, and Falcone played at Colo Colo. And so when we're talking about Inter Miami, he was like, oh, I hate that player. But he was apparently adored in Chile because the hair and the vibe and any of that. Tom, we had a question earlier about Charlotte. Any updates or anything that Charlotte fans should be watching for?
I got nothing on that front. Still working on a DP9. I haven't heard any updates on Giacomakis. Again, Pep Biel is going to be here long term. Pep Biel will be a DP next year, so it's a little bit of a balancing act. If they bring in a permanent deal for a DP9, then probably Abada has to go in the winter, but they'll figure that out.
Jeffrey Tebert's in here, says Vermont Green versus Ballard FC. Who you got? Well, for starters, the battle lines have been drawn against Lobbing Scorchers. Noah and Ari have been officially invited to suck it, and that
Speaking
is
of
an
fraud
invite
watch.
that doesn't go anywhere. Tom, you're in this trench with me, right?
I'm with you, bro.
This is a blood sport for you now.
I'm in the foxhole.
Yeah, I will be actually on the broadcast of this game. One of my oldest friends is one of the founders of Vermont Green, and they needed a fill-in for the game, so hence I got the phone call. I'm
big
stoked.
dog in.
I land in Burlington, Vermont. It is going to be gorgeous. I go straight to training to just like watch. Like I don't go to these things a lot, yeah, kind of. But like I'm just gonna post up and watch soccer for 2 days, and I'm stoked about it. The weather oddly is similar to Miami in terms of humidity, which gets me a little bit less excited. To be clear, we are a greenhouse. Well, I have one right here. Boom.
Attaboy.
The beanie, baby. Get out of here,
dude. When you did the video tagging lobbing scorchers for Noah and Ari, and you were walking the streets of Miami in July in a beanie, I thought, is that a swim cap?
I could barely hear you through this thing.
It's a swim cap.
I started swimming a couple months ago, and my dad is a big triathlon person, and he wants me to be an open water swimmer with him so that I can do triathlons.
Sink or swim, bro.
So exactly. So he gave me this swim cap, and it happened to be green as well. And so when I went to go do my Vermont Green video, I put it up.
While Goss is going double green on his head right now.
I basically can't hear you now either.
So I was anything more on this. I don't want to take the floor away from you.
No, Tom. I think we could get into the real stuff that you need to talk about.
Well, real stuff. The first two questions are not going to quite be real stuff. First of all, somebody asked, "What do I do with the little cove behind me?" This is just how the office is built. I have a chair here, and then in front of me is where I have my TV set up. So I have a little recliner there. So that's nice. Just trying to take advantage of the space in here.
I've never owned a recliner, and it's one of my dreams. I know. I've never really lived in a space where you could recline. I've lived in Boston and New York City most of my life. There isn't really room to
That's a good point.
out.
That's a good point. Yeah, you take the Murphy bed out of the wall. Another one we got from my good pal Ben Wright. Best player at All-Star Media Game. Goss, what are your thoughts here? Our
Morgan Tenza also asked this question.
Did she?
Yeah. Best player is a tough one. I will say
some good players.
Every time you do this, you're a little surprised. I said this to you before we played. I don't know if you played with me before. Joe Larry has some sauce. People think he's going to be like analytical and clean.
Well, because he's running around in glass. He takes off his glasses and it's like, oh my God, it's Superman and Clark Kent.
Exactly. He's whatever her name is in... What is the movie with Freddie Prinze Jr. where she comes down the stairs and like literally just...
Wow, you've always been beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Edgar Acero had some game to him as well. One of the senior editors at MLSsoccer.com.
Edgar cooked. But for me, I got to give it to our guy, the legend, Charlie Boehm. Yeah. That dude, his touch is immaculate. Doesn't matter like that he'll age forever, and he's still outrunning most of us, which is incredible.
Former Granada senior and league player or something like that. He had it on his account for a while. Kyle Green's
the man. Yeah, KG,
obviously the best player there, but it's not fun to say that.
Yeah,
he's actually really good.
I hope Kyle's listening to this. Sorry that we buried the lead.
I'd
like to say me and you played pretty well.
I think we played fine. I think our games are probably a little too similar to work together. So it's like kind of best when we're on different teams. I wouldn't say it was my best thing. I got played a ball. Connor Tobin put me a ball over the top that was picture perfect. The goals were in a basketball hoop, and I was scared to run into the stanchion, and I didn't head it fully. Right. And then the second time I chested into the crossbar, my only thing I pride myself on is that I am very good with my head, and the fact that I didn't head that ball in has still been in my head the entire time. Let's get out of here in a moment, Tom. Before we do that, though, any other big teams that we want to hit? Because you basically got a question about every single team in here. We've got Houston, we've got St. Louis, we have Columbus, we have...
Sorry, a quick one. From Andrew Johnson, do you think the crew allows the Nordeca to fly Palestine flags for Wessam Abu Ali? I goddamn well hope so. I really hope so. So we'll see. Who knows? It's I don't know. I can't get into that because I'm not smart enough for it, but I hope that the team that has a Palestine international gets to wave Palestine flags.
It is the article that I read about it that Axios put out in Columbus, and I think they went and got, they asked MLS at the league office and they quoted on it, was like, oh, well, we put in a policy in 2023, so any flags from before are okay, but any flags after are not. And it's like, did the world stop in 2023? And also, did the flags exist before? Like, what are we doing and where are we? So, yeah, it will be something that we will all be watching from the outside. I am stoked to watch him play. I think he's going to crush for Columbus. And I think Diego Rossi's been really, really special so far this year. I think it's cool that he's like the best player on a team and that team can be really good, but he is not Evander. He is not, I mean, I guess Lucho's not even Lucho anymore. So, like, it is hard to carry things, quote unquote. Gazdag is not giving you that production. I think this becomes the key that, like, links it all back together again.
I totally agree. I think it's going to make everybody better. I think is it still going to be Diego Rossi's team? He's still going to be the top, but like it's going to make him better. And I think that it's just going to fit really well. A couple others here. Did the Victor Olatunji deal fall through for RSL? No, it didn't. Still working on it. Like, again, as I have not heard anything different, but that they are going to sign Ron Cruz and Victor Olatunji. I think that they're just doing paperwork for Olatunji now. So unless that somebody has a last minute request or a change of heart, that's all on track.
Unless Leon gets involved. And if Leon gets involved, then everything goes down the tube, and then we don't know what to do. So reminder, listen to all our other shows that are coming out. We've got some fun new stuff that we're going to be adding next week. Something similar to this vibe. A little bit more of like hang out, relax while on streaming with all of you. We've got our next state coming out in the 50 States of Soccer. I'm very excited about it. It's one that I don't know a ton about, but the little I do know is like deep cut 100-year-old soccer history that I am learning about right now, and I'm really, really excited to learn more about. Lock in for Leagues Cup. NWSL back as well this weekend. The USL League 2 stream is on some bizarre website called Stream Engine or something. You can listen to me on that. You can catch Tom, of course, on CBS and everywhere else he is. Go watch Jordan Angeli on Sunday on ABC for the Washington Spirit game. We'll be on site in Rowdy. And check out everything else we're doing. If you're at the One Knoxville game, say hi to Susanna Fuller as well. And we'll talk to all of you again very, very soon.